Every bottle of wine starts with a moment like this. The sound of chisels cutting through the vines, the smell of ripe grapes in the air, and the first chill of autumn. This week I'm in Valpolicella at a small winery called Terre di Pietra. I wanted to see what really happens during harvest and what makes these wines so full of life. Valpolicella sits just north of Verona, a very famous region for Amarone and Ripasso especially. I leave you here my video where I go in depth about this region and the style of wines produced there. But beyond the big names, there are smaller, passionate producers like Terre di Pietra. Here everything is done by hand, guided by a philosophy of simplicity and respect for the land. Over the next few days I'll follow their harvest, from the vines to the cellar, to understand how that philosophy becomes wine. The harvest starts early, before the sun gets too strong. Each bunch is picked by hand and checked right there in the field. The grapes are collected in small crates to prevent crashing. In that way every bunch reaches the cellar in perfect conditions. Once all the crates are full, they are loaded onto a tractor that drives through the rows to bring the fruit back to the winery. It's a careful and repetitive work, but you realize how much attention goes into every single crate of grapes. Most of the vines here are Corvina and Corbinone, the heart of Valpolicella wines. However, some successful experiments have been done in the past. For example, planting Marcellan at higher altitudes. Here we were in a vineyard at about 600 meters, and the grapes were in a perfect state of ripening, without any sign of fungal infection. Yes, because at such high altitude the maturation occurs slower and the bunches combine perfectly the technical and phenolic ripeness. Once the grapes reach the cellar, everything changes. This is where the science meets the art. The team sorts the grapes again, removing leaves or imperfect bunches. The crates are emptied into a machine that crushes the grapes and separates the stems. The must, so the mix of juice and skin, is then manually transferred into the fermenting tanks. Fermentation starts naturally, without added yeast, using only the native flora that live on the grapes and in the cellar, and that will be responsible in converting the sugar into alcohol and other components. It's incredible to see how alive this place feels. Tanks bubbling, the air full of that sweety, yeasty smell. Not all the grapes are processed right away, however. For Amarone, for example, Terre di Pietra selects the best bunches and lays them out to dry naturally in ventilated rooms called fruttai. Over time, the grapes lose water and concentrate sugar and flavors, creating a rich, full-body wine. During this drying period, the bunches are checked daily, and any moldy berries are removed one by hand, a meticulous and time-consuming task. What I find fascinating here at Terre di Pietra is their patience. They don't rush anything. Each step seems guided by instinct more than technology. No flashy machines, no shortcuts. Just time, observation and trust in the process. It reminds me that making wines is not only about control. It's a balance between people, nature and timing. There's no need to understand every single detail to appreciate it. You can just feel it. The connection between the place and what ends up in the glass. By the end of the harvest, the cellar is a mix of sound, smell and movement. Tanks quietly fermenting, barrels being filled, and data sheets pinned to the wall to record every step. Fermentation here usually lasts about 10 to 15 days, depending on the temperature and the vintage. An important goal is to achieve a slow and gentle extraction, keeping the color and structure balanced without overworking the skins. Yes, because local varieties like Corvina, Corbinone and Rondinella have thin skins and therefore are quite delicate, so they prefer to pump the juice over the cap rather than punch it down. Once the first fermentation has finished, the wine rests. Some will stay in stainless steel to preserve freshness, while the guys are also experimenting other vessels to achieve different outcomes. There's no fixed formula, however. Every year, every lot behaves differently. The team just listens to what the wines need. It's the small technical choices that define the style. How long to macerate, when to rack, what temperature to hold. And these details might seem minor, but they decide whether a wine keeps its profile or change it. For example, they make a white wine called Quercia Laboriosa. This spends a short period of skin contact in order to increase the aromatic expression and the body, the mouthfeel, the density to the palate. And to me it's very nice that when you taste this wine, the practice is quite evident in the glass. Being here for a few days really shows how much patience, precision and respect go into every single bottle of wine. Something that surprised me was the great amount of water used to clean the machines and equipment. Everything is washed with attention after each use, so that the bacteria cannot develop and ruin the wine. Its decision from picking time to fermentation temperature adds up to the final expression of the wine. Small producers like Terre di Pietra reminds me that authenticity isn't about the size or equipment, it's about the intention and the consistency of the project. If you enjoy how wine is made from the vineyard to the final bottle, consider subscribing. I'll be visiting more regions and producers soon, exploring what makes their wines so unique. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon in the next vineyard.